welcome to Safest Family on the Block, where knowledge is power. I'm your host, Jason, and joining me today is the legendary John Riddle. And John, I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody just a portion of your bio, because you've got one of those crazy long NASA bios. But just some of the highlights. John is a world-renowned self-defense specialist, private security professional, motivational speaker, and instructor who honed his skills as a member of the U.S. Air Force, a police officer, and a martial artist for 30 years. During his 16 years as a SWAT operator, John conducted well over 1,000 SWAT operations, and he has been asked to train personnel from numerous law enforcement agencies domestically and internationally. He's a recognized grandmaster in combatives by the World Head of Family Soke-ship, and he now shares his skills and knowledge at Riddle Defense Training in Boca Raton, Florida. You know, you left one thing off of this, John, that you were a Black Belt Magazine's Instructor of the Year in 2012.
2012, Black Belt Instructor of the Year, yes. I'll have to fill that in. Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you for that intro. Legendary? I don't know about that, but...
You're one of those guys who can literally change your middle name to Effin. John Effin Riddle. And no one would give me in trouble, you know? But you're here today specifically to talk a bit about from your law enforcement experience, and in some ways your experience as a SWAT team lead, where your job was to breach homes.
Yes.
For a long time. And in that capacity and your capacity as a law enforcement officer, you know better than most people how to make your home less breachable, give it less curb appeal for the bad guys, and keep your family safe in a situation where somebody's trying to get in.
Absolutely. Many houses, over the years, my 16 years on the SWAT team, we've entered. Some were very easy, and some were beefed up enough that it took us some time, or we had to have a secondary breach point, okay? So those houses, those tough homes that we entered into, they were beefed up for a reason. Okay, and that was to keep the good guys out and the bad guys. Okay, but mostly the good guys, right? To keep the good guys out from getting in there and doing our job. And I have to say, some of the homes that we did breach that were tough, we hung around and we looked at what they did, and it was very interesting in how they beefed up doors and windows. I remember hitting a door with the we call it the boomer. It's a giant, I don't want to call it a sledgehammer because it's not a hammer, but it's a thing that we use to blast.
Like a battering ram?
Like a battering ram, yeah. And we were on it one day, and I hit it first, and I bounced off with the battering ram. And we worked that door. I mean, they could have probably reconstructed the inside of the house by the time we got in. We had to find a secondary breach point because the windows also had bars on them. But when we finally got into the place, we found a half-inch sheet of steel on the other side of the door with a 3-inch pipe, steel pipe, that they drilled holes through on both sides, and they made hasps on both sides and sunk them in the concrete and padlocked them in. So we worked on that door for a while until we had a tow truck with us from one of our wrecker services, and we had to use his line to wrap around the bars on the windows and yank those bars off the windows to make a secondary breach point. So it was a very active, probably 3 to 5 minutes to get into that place.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. And it was the first time we've ever seen it, something like that. I don't think they've seen anything like that since.
Wow. Now, I don't know that I'd recommend that for, your typical suburban home.
No. For your typical suburban home, you got to remember, you got to get out, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to get out in case of a fire too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring that up a little bit too. But I think, in beefing up your home to prevent anything like a robbery, a burglary when you're not at home. And again, a burglary happens during the day when you're at work. Okay. I always hear people talk about, well, the house got robbed. Well, no, the house got burglarized. There's a difference. Okay. And a lot of times it happens between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. during the day. When there's no one home, when the neighborhood is quiet, people are at work. You know, you may get some older folks that are home out for a walk, and maybe they see something, maybe they don't. But that's when the burglars hit. You know, it's at night, sometimes they do. You know, we think of the old cat burglar with the mask on his face, you know, and he's creeping in the shadows at night. Still have those, okay? You still have some of those, but you don't hear too much about them, more so during the day. And because the bad guys, they don't want to chance it, okay? They don't want to get caught, and they want to make it as easy as possible. They don't want to get hurt. Hurt, caught, and easy. There are three things that's on their agenda for whatever they do, okay? So when we look at this, your home or people's homes aren't picked just at random for the most part, okay? The bad guys will go through neighborhoods and look at homes, and they'll pick a home out because of the way it looks. You may have an expensive home, it may look very, very nice on the outside, nice car in the driveway, okay? What does that say? Okay, what does that say about that person that lives there? They have a nice big home, they have a very expensive car in their driveway. Chances are they're going to probably have some cash in the home, or they may have some jewelry or something of some expense that burglar wants to get in and get, okay? Then you have other homes. They're your normal middle-class homes, okay? They really don't stand out as much, you know? But maybe that home, the shrubbery around the home is high. It looks disheveled, good places to hide, okay? To be able to watch the home and use as concealment, to hide in the bushes. So, you know, people have also been followed, all right, by a person or by a group, and they watch where they go, what they're driving, what kind of clothing do they wear, what kind of jewelry are they wearing, okay? And this could set you up also for a possible burglary or even a home invasion, okay? If you're flashing a lot of wealth, this is going to bring attention to you, okay? So down here in South Florida, we have some of that, all right? And you can drive anywhere on the roads here and see it. And some people like to flash this, and what it does is it puts them in some jeopardy, okay? And a lot of people think, well, I live in a gated community, so the gate guard is there and they're checking. Sorry, it really doesn't mean a whole lot, okay? If they want to get in, they're going to get in, okay? So we have to be our own personal protection person, okay? We have to start thinking about what we're doing and how we're going to strengthen our homes to protect it from anybody trying to get in.
So you've been describing the kind of the opulent house, or the person who shows that they have wealth, that shows that the house contains something that's worth taking the risk of a burglary. What are some things that we can also do with our homes that show that even if there is a little wealth there, it's going to be harder than the house down the street to get into and get out without getting caught, without getting hurt, and without it being easy? Are there things we can do to give some hints of that? I've heard things like putting an alarm sticker on the window, whether or not you have an alarm, things like that.
Deterrence, okay, deterrence. But let's start from the outside,
All right.
outside perimeter first, and we'll work our way in. Okay, so first, What I always encourage people to do, and I also do it to my home, is I step outside the home and I go down to the sidewalk or out to the street and I look at my home and I walk and I look at the different angles of the home. And I have to have the mindset of that burglar. And how am I going to hide? How am I going to try to enter? Okay, so these things, I need to see these and I need to reinforce it right from there. So first thing is, I see maybe I have a lot of shrubbery in front of the house and it's grown high, okay? And there's a lot of concealment issues there for people. So I may want to get out my hedge trimmers and start trimming up my hedges and cleaning up and making it nice, right? And then give less hiding spots for the bad guy.
Okay.
Then step out at nighttime. Do you have lighting around your home? Okay, floodlights, pathway lighting, lighting inside the shrubs, that maybe lights that shine up on trees or into the shrubs. It's nice. It makes the house look very nice at night and the evening when the lights come on, but it's also a protection and it's a deterrent because the area is lit. Okay. You may want to think about putting lights on each corner of the house so you get the full perimeter, back and front and the sides of the home. You can put them on switches where you just turn them on and they stay on until the next morning and you turn them off, or you put them on a timer and a motion detector. And if something walks by, it clicks on, and maybe that is a deterrent that light comes on, shines on that person, and it gets them to move on to another home that's going to be a little bit easier. You can also take camera systems. Today, all kinds of camera systems are out there, right? You've got hardwire camera systems, the SWAT cameras you can put up. SWAT is a brand name. You can put them up, they're hardwired. They wire it right into your home into a monitor like we're on right now, and you can see each camera's perimeter, and you can sit there and watch it. It records, so you can look at what happened last night, okay? Or you can go out, and there's a company out there now that everyone knows. It's called Ring, right? And Ring, you can put Ring cameras up around your home. I have 2 of them in my backyard that when someone passes, they light up at night, plus the camera kicks on. With Ring, which is nice with them, is I can get real time on my smartphone. So I can be in Oregon and I can get a notice on my phone. There's movement. I look at it and I can see. At some point, I can even talk to them. Okay, the UPS guy comes up to the house and he's delivering packages. He knocks on the door, or someone knocks on the door. I can be sitting here talking to you, and I get on the phone and I can talk to him. He thinks I'm at home, and it changes that. It's a little bit more of a deterrent. Okay? Plus, it's recorded. All right. So you've got trimming up the bushes around the house, cleaning it up, making concealment a little bit harder for the bad guy. Lighting, walkway lighting, shrubbery lighting, highlighting that will light up with movement, or it just stays on all night by the flip of the switch. Okay. The more well lit you are at night, the better off you're going to be, because the bad guys really have no place to hide with the light on. So from there, okay, do you have a wall around your home, or is there a fence around your home? Okay, I have a partial privacy fence that's about 6 feet high, right? So people can come over that fence. I have a gate on both sides. They can jump over that. As soon as they jump over it, they're on camera, okay? I have cameras out front. As soon as they walk onto my property, they're on camera. I have so many cameras at my house, I can't get out my own way, all right? So, but it catches it on film. Okay, it catches it, records, and you might get some facial recognition from it that you can turn over to the police. If the police say, hey, we've seen this guy before, he's done something around here before, they can take that face and they can start doing some investigative work and put a name to that face. Okay? So the perimeter, I mean, with the lighting, cameras, okay, it's a perfect way to set up the outside, your outside of the fortress. Okay. Now on the inside of the home, okay, to get into the home, the doorways, what kind of locks do you have on your doors? Okay, you may want to reinforce your hinges, the hasp for your deadbolts, 2 to 4 inch screws that go into the door jambs, okay, to make it harder if they're trying to kick the door to get in.
Could I, just in case not everybody knows the jargon and the slang, the hasp is where the lock part of your lock goes into your house.
Yes.
And those are usually secured with just tiny little screws that wouldn't hold up a painting, let alone resist a kick to the door.
Exactly.
And so if you take a good 4-inch screw and drill that in instead, it makes your door much more secure for what, $150 in 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So it's going to be something like that. Your locks on your doors. Okay. If you have a home that has a window next to the door and that window gets broken and he can reach in and open, okay, then you want a different type of lock on that door, maybe the double cylinder type lock where it takes a key on both sides to unlock this doorknob. Okay, we look at, again, we talked about the deadbolts with the 2 to 4 inch screws going into the door jamb. You also may want to think about a small chain lock like we have in hotels. Sometimes they're in hotels. Okay, you don't see too much of those anymore, but you can hook up a chain and it helps open the door a little bit. You can see. It helps prevent little kids from opening a door to a stranger. It's not 100% foolproof, but it will slow down the entry and you will hear it. Okay, so window locks. Check your windows. See what your window locks are all about. You know, can I get it open? Go outside and see if you can get your windows open from the outside once they're locked. Lock them on the inside, then step out and try to open them and see if it's possible. Okay? And try that for all of your doors and all of your windows. Okay? Sliding glass doors are big down in South Florida. So I've worked many a burglary where guys they put a screwdriver or a tire iron underneath and they pop it up and it pulls right off of the tracks. And it comes off. So how do we fix that? Okay, so there's different ways that we can put small stick locks into the door. People also take a dowel, a thick dowel, wooden dowel, cut it the same size as the tracks and lay it down in the tracks, and it helps prevent one of the doors from opening. Okay, these doors are 100% glass, so you know, they can be smashed. They can take an implement and smash the glass out and just walk in the hole, through the hole. So when we talk about that, I want to talk about glass. You know, what type of glass is in your home? Okay, South Florida, because of hurricanes, we have hurricane-proof glass. This glass is strong enough. It's tested in factories where they fire 2x4s at the glass, and it puts a little dent in the glass, but it doesn't shatter. It doesn't break. Okay, it's still secure. It's almost like tellers in banks in the drive-through. It's like bulletproof glass. It's very similar to that. It's not as heavy, but it's very similar to it. You're not going to be able to throw something through that glass to make entry. You're not going to be able to use a crowbar to break it. It's going to take you a long time. And the sun will be coming up when he's still trying to get in through that glass. Okay. Now,
and like you mentioned before, it's going to make a lot of noise.
It's going to make a lot of noise.
If I'm asleep at the house.
Absolutely. And like I said before, they don't want any attention brought to them. They want to be quiet. They want to do it, you know, under the cover as best as they can. So this is going to make some noise. All right. Now, hurricane impact glass isn't cheap. It's not cheap. And I really don't know the availability of that glass out by you. Okay, so it might even cost more for you to get it than it would and installed than it would me, because a lot of the factories are right here in South Florida. But if you don't have that, how about some window film? 3M makes a very strong window film. It'll give you some shade. Okay, so it'll cut down heat coming into the house, but it also will help that glass, it'll prevent that glass from shattering, right? So similar to a windshield, when a windshield gets damaged, broken enough that the glass will shatter, but it's not going to break all the way through the car because it has that film in there. It's very similar with the 3M film. And you can buy that and have that installed, or you can install it yourself. Okay, it's easy enough to do. So there are ways from the outside, going through the outside perimeter of the home, your yard, foliage around there, trimming it up, making it clean, lighting outside, okay, all around lighting, and then your walls or your fence line are going to be something that if they get over there, it's going to give them a little bit of time because they're covered, they're hidden. If you have cameras in the back of the home, they're strategically placed, okay, then they're going to come up on camera. 90% of the time when they see a camera and they can't help themselves, if you watch burglars that see cameras, they look up at them and they can't help themselves. And there they are, there's their face. So once they see them, usually they turn around and they try to be real cool about it. They try to slither away and get away, right? And they're going to try to pick a house, another place that's going to be easier. So again, coming back to your front door and your windows, get good locking systems on your doors, good locking systems on your windows, reinforce your windows, okay? If you can, the 3M film, hurricane type glass, if you have that availability and you want to spend that money, okay? So down here in South Florida, sometimes you'll see bars on windows, okay? Every window around the house has bars on it. Not always a good choice, okay? Because you have to remember, a window is good for the bad guy to get in, but also it may be your only way out of the house. So you can't really block that and block your emergency exit. So you got to be careful about that. People see that and they say, you know, maybe I'll put some bars on the windows. They won't get in with those. They won't, but chances are you're not going to be able to get out either, especially during a fire.
Yeah, especially important, I think, for parents with children. I know some of those bars are built with some fire escape, mechanisms, but a 3-year-old's going to understand that when he's panicking a fire. I don't know. I don't think so.
No, and a 40-year-old mom who's panicking in the fire. You have to be able to get those things open and be able to get out. And with fear kicking in, sometimes we lose concept of the small motor skill things, right?
Yeah.
So we just really have to be careful of that. So other things we can do. We can be deceptive. Okay, and this is before we even get inside the house. We can be deceptive. If you're a woman and you live by yourself, go out and buy a pair of men's boots, dirty them up, and put them outside the front door. Let them sit there. Okay. Another thing I could do is take water bowls, dog water bowls, and put them outside. Put a beware of dog sign up on your front door or someplace around the perimeter of your home. Okay. Sometimes that even keeps the police out of your backyard. All right. So you want to, that's a little bit of deception, right? So the lights on timers inside the home now. Okay, so we step inside. I put a light or two lights in different rooms, and I put them on a timer to come on a certain time during the day or at night. And I can change that timer with a simple turn of the clock and have it change all the time. Okay, set them up on timers that I may be able to change remotely if I'm out of town. Okay, and have them come on at different times just to keep people guessing. Okay, so from there, you have a dog?
Not us. We're cat folks.
Cats? Okay.
Yeah.
So dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs within themselves are alarms. Okay, they bark at everything. And whether it's a squirrel or a 245-pound guy getting ready to run through your back door, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to hear it before you do. They're going to sense it, and they're going to bark. It's going to bring attention to you. And one thing I want people to understand, first of all, I have 4 dogs at home, and these dogs bark a lot. And when a dog starts barking a lot, we say, oh, barking again, what's going on? And we kind of discount. Don't discount it, especially at night. When you're sleeping and that dog growls or it barks, sometimes he's got a different sound to him than when he's barking at a human than when he's barking at a squirrel. Okay? So you've got to be able to pick that up. And in the middle of the night, you got to listen. You got to listen to them. So when they start barking, you should wake up and go check out what the situation is. Because they can hear better than us, and they sense things better than us. Okay, and they're going to be your first alarm. Second alarm, okay, is a basic alarm system in your home. Okay, ADT, they're a big company throughout the country, whichever you choose. Okay, and you can put sensors on your windows. You can put sensors at your front door. Put a sensor on the door that goes from your garage into your home or into your laundry room. You get a code to turn it on, shut it off. As soon as a door or a window is breached in the middle of the night, when you set up the alarm, when you leave the home, you hit the away button. It gives you 45 seconds to a minute to get out, sets up the alarm. If there's a breach, the alarm goes off. Notifies the police. They notify you. The alarm company notifies you. Hey, Mr. Riddle, you have an alarm went off in your home. We have the police on their way. Okay, thank you. I'm on my way home. Okay, if I can. Otherwise, in the middle of the night, if there's a breach, the alarm goes off automatically. As soon as that window opens or that door opens, the alarm goes off automatically. It's going to stir you out of bed into having to do something, having to take action. Okay? What kind of sleeper are you? How fast can you wake up and get your senses about you that maybe someone's coming in the home, or maybe somebody's already in the home. Okay? And you have to be able to react out of a dead sleep. Okay? So an alarm system, your canine. An alarm system, the mechanical alarm that you have installed by a company. Okay? They're also good for fires, and nowadays for gas leaks. Okay, they can pick up the gas leak. It'll set the alarm off also. Okay, so once that breach happens and you feel someone is in the home, okay, now something has to be done. I teach this to people. I go to their homes, and we do drills. Okay, now I'm going to skip a little ahead. I'm going to tell you that everybody has to have a plan. Okay, you have to have a plan. Jason, you have to have a plan for you when you're home by yourself, but you also have to have a plan for when you're home with your wife and your children. They may be two different plans. Okay, your wife, okay, is going to be like second in command. She should have, she's privy to the plan, and she has part of that plan is going to be her job. You're going to have your job, she has her job. Okay, and they have to be worked out. We cannot sit down, and I give people credit. They sit down with their family around the table and say, hey, look, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. And they write up the plan. They talk about it for 5 minutes, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, planning ahead of time is important. I mean, I think we can all agree that you and I sitting at a table in a calm situation are way smarter than you or I in the middle of the night when the alarm goes off.
Something goes off, right?
But making that plan is not sufficient. You have to practice that plan, drill that plan, so that your idiot just woke up ass, which is all of our asses when we woke up in the middle of the night, can still execute the plan.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Which kind of brings me back to the military days, right? You're sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning, drill instructor comes in and he's screaming and yelling, throwing things down the hallway to wake you up, and you're flying out of bed, and you don't even know what day or time it is, but you're reacting. And as time goes by, after having that done to you day in and day out, you start to adjust to it, and you start to react differently each time. So practice makes perfect, right? So we have to have the plan. Everybody has to be on board with what their portion of that plan is, and then act that plan out. So practice it, right? Practice it. And I always go back to the old saying of, and I have people in class, I say, by show of hands, how many people live in a 2-story home? And I'll get a few raise their hands. I said, okay. I said, here's your scenario. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, you're sound asleep. Something wakes you up, you wake up, you smell something burning. You go get it out of bed, you go see what it is, your feet hit the floor, and the floor's hot. You go down the hallway, and you look down, and it's on fire. There's smoke coming up the stairwell. You can't see down that stairwell. How are you getting out of the house? Okay. Well, I'll jump out the window. Okay. Right. Where do you land? Okay. Mom and dad, how many kids do you have in the house? And where are they located at this time? Okay. Do you have pets? What kind of pets do you have? Well, I have a Rottweiler. What does he weigh? It's 90 pounds. Okay. How are you getting that Rottweiler out of the house? Okay. Are you going to jump out the window? Okay. We say that. When time comes, it's like, and the fireman's down there saying, jump, right? Or drop the baby. I'll catch him. You know, we always have those second thoughts on trust.
Yeah.
And it's either your life or you're going to trust. Okay. So I always suggest run out to Home Depot or to your local fire supply house or fire supply store where you can buy fire extinguishers. Buy a fire ladder. A ladder that you can hook up to your window that holds 350 to 500 pounds, and you can hook it up to your window, you know, get that window open and climb down that ladder. Buy a couple of them. Put them in each room. Show your kids how to use them. show your husband or show your wife how to use them. Okay. One lady says, "Oh, I have a fire ladder." I said, "Good for you. Perfect." I said, "Which room do you keep it in?" She says, "Oh, it's in my garage." I said, "Well, it's not going to help you in your garage, right?" So I said, "You got to get it."
I'll tattle on myself a little bit. You know, we have fire extinguishers in the house.
Perfect.
And the one over on my side of the house where we have the master bedroom and then my youngest room's across the hall, we had mounted the fire extinguisher in the little hallway there because it was visible from some of the common areas and all of that. But then it occurred to me that if the hallway between my house and my kids, or my room and my kids' room, is on fire, the fire extinguisher's in. So now the fire extinguisher is in the master bedroom.
There you go. Perfect. Right. Okay.
You know, we all make mistakes like that.
But you walk it out, you figure it out, and you fix it like you did, you know, and that's how you learn it, right? That's how you learn where things have to be.
Yeah, I think it's really, really valuable the way that you're drawing a parallel between a fire plan, which most of us understand and most of us were taught in grade school, and a plan for a home invader, which in many cases in our house is pretty much the identical plan.
There you go. It doesn't have to be any different.
Yeah, but setting it up and thinking about it in that way, I think, is really valuable for a lot of families.
Yeah, and you know, how many? Again, another question I ask in class is, how many of you own a firearm? You know, South Florida, get a lot of hands. So how many of you, where do you keep your firearm? In the bedroom. Most people do. Okay. Going back to the fire issue, how many of you have a fire extinguisher in your bedroom? No. Okay. So people start thinking now, ooh, that's a good point. You know, I probably got to get a fire extinguisher in the bedroom, maybe put it on the floor next to the nightstand, you know, where I can reach it and I know where it is all the time. It becomes second nature. Every time I come into the bedroom, I see it sitting there. I recognize it. I know why it's there and understand how to pull the pin, right? Some of the things that can sound silly to us and to people who are prepared, but in fear, trying to pull that pin sometimes can be difficult, okay, for people who are not sure. So understanding how the fire extinguisher works is very important also. You know, not just go out and buy one, you know, and put it down there, you know, because I said it's a good idea. You got to learn.
Well, much like firearms, right? You can't just go buy a Smith & Wesson and keep it in the nightstand and hope for the best. You need to go out there and train with that firearm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In our family, we buy that cheap $20 fire extinguisher that you have to replace every year. But every year, we use the old fire extinguisher and practice using it on a fire that we build in the backyard so that everybody in the house has used a fire extinguisher.
Perfect. Perfect. That's a great training bit right there, right? So everybody knows, right? And you're discarding the old one. You got a new one identical to the first one. So that's perfect. Perfect. So, you know, having that plan and having everybody understand the plan and practicing that plan. Let's do a dry run. Okay. Doesn't necessarily have to be at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. But I want everybody to understand what your bit is for this plan, and you're going to go to your stations. Go. Everybody starts moving. Everybody starts doing their thing, right? The other thing too, you know, with the interior of the home, we covered dogs, window treatments. What do you keep on your windows? Okay. In colder climate regions of the country, people have drapes hanging. Okay. Down here in South Florida, we have Bahama shutters. We have little blinds, wooden blinds that we can turn to open and see out without pulling them up. Okay. So these types of window treatments also prevent the bad guy from seeing into the home. Okay. So a very interesting drill that I do, just for awareness. is I would get Lee, my girlfriend, out of the house, and I'd have a couple of my friends stay inside the house at night. And I'd open the windows. And we go out and stand in the middle of the street. The lights are on in the home, and they're just walking around in the house. And I ask them inside, I want you to look out and identify where I'm standing. Okay? Most of the time they can't unless they get right up to the window and they're looking out. But for me, in the middle of the street or behind cover someplace for concealment, I can see into the house because it's well lit in there. And I can see all the movement. I can tell you what you're wearing, how many pets you have, if you're cooking something in the kitchen, what TV show you're watching, okay? Depending on the angle I'm looking in the house. But you looking out at night from a lit room, you're not gonna be able to see me. Okay, so take that and think about it. Now at nighttime, I may need to close my windows down, close those drapes, close those shutters or the blinds down a little bit so nobody can see in and see what I'm doing. Plus get a slight layout of the house also, all right, from outside, right? Then during the day, it's the complete opposite. I can stand in my kitchen, open my shades, open the blinds in my kitchen windows, turn my kitchen light off, and I can lean up against the counter, and I can watch the kids across the street playing basketball. And they can't see me because now they're from daylight looking into dark. Okay, so it's the opposite of what happens at night. So we understand that if I see somebody look strange in the afternoon in my neighborhood, and they're hanging around outside my house, I can open those shades up a little bit, turn the lights off in my house, and just stand back in the shadows, kind of like a sniper hide. Okay, I'm back a little off the window, and I'm looking and I'm watching him. He cannot see me. Okay, but at nighttime, he has the advantage. Okay, so I have to keep my windows closed, my shades closed, my drapes closed, so they cannot see into the house to see what's going on. Okay, so just something to think about in that area. Okay, it's a little drill that people can do with their families, all right, just to keep them aware of, let's not have the whole house lit up at night with the windows open so everybody can see in. Another thing that some people talk about, and I've talked to, some people have come to me here in Boca Raton, and that is a safe room. Usually, it's a higher end client that may have a reason to want a safe room in their home, okay? And all a safe room is the room I can get to with my family, lock in, lock down. It's cambered. I have cameras in there, the monitor that I can see the whole house and the outer perimeter. It's unbreachable, okay? And maybe I have some water in there and maybe a small refrigerator, place to sit, and tables, okay? And I can hang in there for a few hours. And I can make a phone call if I need to the police. But it's a place where people who have a need for that can dip into that, get themselves safe, lock themselves down in there, and they can be pretty much untouchable. Okay, so a safe room. And it really depends on who you are, what level of threat that you're dealing with. Okay, chances are you're pretty much a higher end person, higher end client. Those safe rooms cost some money to put into a home, especially if the home is already built. You know, and some people are building homes now down here with safe rooms in them. Added into the construction, you know, so they have it for when the world falls apart.
Yeah. Well, the question of a safe room or not to have a safe room, I think kind of approaches when you're coming up with your plan for if somebody comes into the house. one of the first questions is much like with a disaster, is your plan to be mobile or is your plan to shelter in place? And a safe room, if you plan to shelter in place, that's a really good strategy. But if your plan is just get the heck out of the house, then why spend 5 figures on a safe room?
Right. So then that's just going to come down to a decision that, and every, you're going to have multiple different things happening that, am I going to stay? Am I going to go? And depends on what's going on, right?
Yeah.
I may want to get out of there. Okay. So yeah, it's nice to have if I take that chance to stay, but if it's kind of a toss of the coin as to what's going on. So, but the mindset, okay, mindset is a big thing also. And this comes with, and I'm going to get to what happens once the house is breached. But your mindset for the whole system, the whole layout of protecting your home. You need to think like a bad guy. You need to think like somebody who wants to get into your home to hurt you. And what do you want to do to stop them from doing this? Okay. Your mindset also is going to be in your plan with your family of when this happens, not if, but when this happens, then we are going to do this. We always hear people talking about it. Well, if it happens, then, if it happens. No, you don't want to think if, you want to think when. It's better to be ready than have to get ready, as they say. Okay. So I want people to understand that and to have that plan. And then they have to have that mindset with that plan. So with the mindset, you have to be unpredictable. Okay. So when I leave my home and I come to a restaurant, how many different routes can I take to that restaurant? And how many different routes can I take to come home from that restaurant? Okay. What time do I go to that restaurant? So I need different routes. Okay? And this goes to executive protection type work, or may need to change my routes up at the last minute. And it could come also where, I'm on the interstate and there was a major wreck on that interstate and it's a parking lot. I have to bail off the interstate and I know where I'm going to go to get to point B and save some time. Okay. So, but we also want to think of it in an emergency situation. So like going back to, people can follow you, Jason, and they can check you out, find out where you live, and then decide they're going to hit your home when you're not at home. So you become unpredictable. You take different routes, you leave at different times, you go get a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee shop at a different time, maybe 10 minutes different, okay? But change it up all the time and keep these people guessing, right? Keep them guessing, keeps them on their toes, all right? And then it kind of keeps them away also sometimes, all right? So change your routes, change your times, change the places that you're going to. Now, your house is breached. Somebody gets in, all right? Dogs are barking, chaos is happening. Where do you keep your firearm? Okay, so if you have a firearm, it's not everybody's cup of tea, okay? I understand it fully. So what options do we have then? Okay, if I don't have a firearm, what else can I use to defend myself and my family? All right, so we have to look at less lethal options. Pepper spray, okay? Some other type of weapons that are around the house that I can pick up and use, okay? So if I'm in the kitchen, what's in everybody's kitchen?
Knives, heavy pans.
There you go, okay? There's knives in everybody's kitchen. So bad guy comes in, maybe he's unarmed until he gets to your kitchen, because I hate to tell it to everybody, but they know there's knives in your kitchen too, okay? So they can arm themselves once they're in, okay? So it's going to be good for you as the homeowner to protect yourself and your family to have some type of weapon next to the bed or someplace that is readily accessible, okay? Readily accessible meaning that it's within arm's length, okay? So a firearm, if you have children, some people don't want to leave their firearm out on the nightstand next to the bed. Understand, it's firearm safety. So they take it and have to put it in the safe. Some people don't like a loaded gun in the safe. Some people I've talked to, I keep my gun in the safe up in the closet in my bedroom, and I keep my ammunition down the hall. Well, then you might as well use pepper spray.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have the time to run down the hall and get the ammunition, get your gun out of the locker, and be able to load it. It happens too fast.
You know, an option I've been seeing lately that's really popular among folks who, for whatever reason, don't like the idea of a firearm, whether that's for the safety of their kids, whether because they've thought about it and they're not comfortable with the idea of having to shoot somebody, is those newer tactical flashlights, the ones with enough lumens to stun a grizzly bear.
Sure.
Some guy at 2 a.m. in your room in the dimness, you give him that once, you'll get the 30 seconds you need to get out of the room.
Right.
You know, that's one suggestion among many options, but one that I've been seeing more and more lately.
Sure. And, you know, those tactical flashlights with the high lumens, you know, you bring that up. I used to use those when they first came out. I used them all the time in law enforcement out on the streets. And I'd come up, I'd park in an alleyway, and I'd walk around the corner to the fellows that were on the street corner selling their goods. And I'd come up behind them, and they'd turn around, look at me, and I'd go, boom, and flash it in their eyes. And they're like, oh, what are you doing that for? You know? And when they're saying that and they're closing their eyes, I'm checking their hands, and I'm looking at their waistband to see if there's any weapons. Okay? So what it does is it buys you some time. It's a softening technique. Okay? Like I punch somebody in the nose, and they flinch, and then I can do something else to them as they're flinching. I use that time. So perfect. Use that light, and then some of these lights come, the bezel is edged. So I might be able to strike them with it, rake them with it, okay? Do some damage to them. You know, and they're in your house. So they're coming in your house, one, like another instructor of mine says, they're coming for your body, your money, or your life. Those three things, okay? So once they're in your home, you know, they're in your home to do no good. With that, I'm going to preface this. Check your state laws as to what you're allowed to do when somebody does break into your home, okay? Because it's very important. You don't want to wind up getting yourself in a mix where you wind up going to jail, okay? So you check your state laws as how you're allowed to defend yourself in the state of Wyoming or the state of Georgia. What can you do there when somebody breaks in? Okay. So the light, the pepper spray, right? A good trick with pepper spray, what I do is especially when I teach my pepper spray classes to the ladies that come in, we use the keychain, the little keychain. They've got like 25 1-second bursts in it, right? And they go maybe $10 a unit, right? You buy it at Target. You buy that, buy a few of them, spend like 40, 50 bucks. Go to Home Depot or your local hardware store and buy these little Velcro squares. Peel it off, put it on the unit, on the pepper spray unit, and put a piece of Velcro on your nightstand. Stick it on your nightstand. It's right there. Okay? I put one up by the front door. If a knock comes on the front door, before I open it, I reach up, I grab that pepper spray. It's in my hands. I can open the door, look, can I help you? They force their way in, I have the pepper spray in my hands already. Okay? I keep one in the garage. If I'm out there in the garage working out, the garage door is open, somebody comes up my driveway, I know exactly where to go to get it to be able to defend myself. If people keep firearms in their bedrooms, Joe the pizza man breaks into your house delivering a pizza to you, and he's chasing your wife down the hall because she's running to get the gun. Is she going to be fast enough to get away from him? But if she answers the door with that canister of pepper spray in her hand already, okay, and that incident takes place, she's already armed and already ready to take care of business. She doesn't have to turn and run to get the gun. Okay? Like I said earlier, mindset. A lot of people in the United States, like we talked about off the air, are learning to shoot. Okay? This is the thing now because of the way the world's going. We have a lot of one-day shooters. Okay? They go and they get their license to carry concealed, or they go out and they buy a gun and they practice, and then that's it. And they never take a legit class, right? And they never continue to practice. They're a liability to themselves. The mindset, on the other hand, can I, because it's against all human nature, whether they're in your house or not, to pick up a gun, point it at someone, and shoot them. Okay? People hesitate on doing that. Unless you program yourself through training, and not only just basic training, but going through basic training for firearms, fundamentals, nailing down those fundamentals, go to a little bit of an intermediate class, hammer down those intermediates, then go to advanced, and then take some reality-based training where you're shooting something like simunition or paintball at each other. And it's decision-making, okay? And it's decision-making where it's, okay, you know, Johnny Smith just broke into your home. He's coming down the hall to your bedroom. You reach out and you grab your gun, freeze frame it. Can you shoot him at this time? Yes or no? Get an answer.
That's going to depend on the state.
Right? And then it's going to depend on them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to freeze? Or are you going to do what you have to do to protect yourself and your family? So we train this way, right? So that has to come along. That has to come along with the plan of what you're doing to reinforce and protect your home and your family. Okay?
I mean, you have to create a plan, you have to have the equipment in place, and you have to know how to use that equipment, and you have to practice with that equipment well enough and long enough that you can use it under stress, under fire, in the middle of the night while you're worried about your kids.
Absolutely.
And that's actually a great way to segue into what you do, John. You're down there in Boca Raton, but you've got some really exciting and useful training and knowledge that you give folks who are lucky enough to live nearby.
Yeah, you know, like I said, we do the scenario-based training. We do it, and we do it not only firearms, okay? I try to integrate from empty hands to empty hand versus weapons to firearm to a knife, firearm to firearm. And we do it in vehicles. We do it outside and around the vehicle. We do it all outside on a range, right? It's done safely. Everybody's very well protected, you know, but there is a pain penalty in some of the things we do, okay? So you understand where you made mistakes. And when that happens, we stop, we go back over it, we debrief, and then we run it again. And, you know, we run it until people get it, you know? But the reality stuff, that's the top of the mountain, okay? That is something that you have to work your way up to, right? You need the fundamentals. You need to learn the fundamentals first, and then some intermediate and advanced work. Then once you hammer all that out and you've got that down, then we throw you into the reality stuff, and we pull it out of you. You know, your decision making, everything. We put the whole thing together for you.
Outstanding. And if folks wanted to know more about that, where could they get that information?
They can go to my website, which is www.riddledefense.com. We also have Facebook at Riddle Defense, Instagram, Riddle Defense. We're on Twitter. Email, you can get me on email at john@riddledefense.com.
Outstanding. And John, I really want to thank you for sharing your knowledge. You earned it the hard way, and I've always appreciated how willing you are to share that information. As we close up, for the viewers who are coming in and they're just starting to think about these kind of things for their family one way or another, if you could recommend 2 or 3 things to do in the next week, quick and easy things that can substantially increase the security of their homes, what would you recommend?
Okay. Number one, I want you to step outside and take a look at your home. Okay. If your home has a lot of things around it, trim it down, make it clear, make it to where bad guys can't hide inside and use concealment. Okay. The last thing you want, the worst thing possible is you're taken hostage into your home. Okay. And that can happen if they're hiding in the bushes. Okay. Second thing is go out. Nowadays with Amazon, you can get good Ring doorbell, and I'm not selling Ring doorbells. I use them at my home, and I know they're good. But they have the doorbell. They have cameras that are very easy to set up. I set it up myself, so that's saying a lot. Okay, so I set them up. You can get them on your smartphone. You can get the feedback on your smartphone. I can sit here. I can look at my dogs. I can look at the backyard, sitting right here talking to you. So it's very easy to do. You can get them overnight. They're cheap enough now, okay, that you don't have to spend a ton of money. And so within the first week, clean up the yard, make sure it's cut back. Put some solar power lighting in on the walkway within the bushes to light it up a little bit, and get those security cameras.
Outstanding.
Extra bucks in your pocket, and you can do it within. You ask for about a week. Get an alarm system on the house.
Outstanding. And those are all things where you make it hard for people to even want to come into the home, because criminals, we can argue they're not the brightest tools in the shed, but they know their craft. And they're going to look at your house that has the neatly trimmed bushes, the Ring doorbell, the alarm sticker, and they're going to want to go somewhere else.
Absolutely. And if you don't have a lot of time, okay, deterrents. Get some alarm stickers, throw them on your window. Get a beware of dog sign, put it on the gate or someplace out in front of your home that it's seen by somebody walking up your driveway. Okay. And that could be a deterrent. People see it. Like I said, if you're a female at home by yourself, living by yourself, go out and buy a pair of men's cowboy boots, dirty them up a little bit, put them on right by your front door, on the outside of the door. It shows some guy lives there. Okay, kick his boots off outside the door. That helps.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Well, John, I really want to thank you for coming in today and sharing all this with us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And just thank you so much for taking the time for our viewers today.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. And you know me well enough that, all the years that I've been doing this, it's a pleasure to be able to pass this on to people, especially in today's world, the way we are today.
Thank you for watching our show today. I hope you found something useful. If you have any questions about what you saw, please do leave them in the comments below. Myself, our guest, or our community will do our best to get those answers for you. If we don't know them ourselves, we will go find someone who knows them. If you loved us, please do hit the like button and the subscribe button. They make a bigger difference than you're thinking right now. And of course, go ahead and click on some of those videos YouTube is suggesting to you right now. We have a lot of stuff that we've worked hard on and are proud of, and hope that you'll enjoy them too. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.